Steve Jobs and Apple. From garage to global empire in 2024, Apple is worth over $3 trillion. But just 27 years ago, Steve Jobs was a fired CEO, wandering the halls of his own company one last time, carrying a cardboard box with his personal belongings, humiliated and broken. This is the story of how a college dropout, who was given up for adoption, built the most valuable company in human history, lost it all, and then staged the greatest comeback in business history. By the end of this story, you'll understand the 3 decisions that separated Jobs from every other entrepreneur, and why Apple's success required failure first. Let's go back to 1976. Steve Jobs was 21 years old, living in his childhood bedroom in Los Altos, California. He had dropped out of college, experimented with psychedelic drugs, and spent months in India searching for spiritual enlightenment. Most people thought he was a hippie who would never amount to anything. Instead, Jobs did something that would change the world forever. In his parents' garage, he co-founded Apple Computer with Steve Wozniak. Their first product was the Apple I, essentially a circuit board that hobbyists could assemble into a computer. They sold it for $666.66. In their first year, they made $774,000 in revenue. But Jobs saw something bigger. While Wozniak was the technical genius, Jobs had the vision. Computers shouldn't just be for engineers and geeks. They should be for everyone. In 1977, Apple launched the Apple II. This wasn't just a computer, it was a revolution. It had color graphics, built-in keyboard, and came in a sleek plastic case. For the first time, a computer looked like it belonged in your home, not a laboratory. The Apple II became the first mass-market personal computer. By 1980, Apple went public in the largest IPO since Ford Motor Company. Jobs was worth $256 million at age 25. Success bred arrogance. Jobs became obsessed with perfection and control. He would fire people in elevators. He told employees their work was shit to their faces. He believed that being brutal was being honest. In 1983, Jobs hired John Scully from Pepsi with the famous line, "Do you want to sell sugar water for the rest of your life? Or do you want to come with me and change the world?" It was the biggest mistake of his career. By 1985, Apple was struggling. The Lisa computer was a $10,000 failure. The Macintosh, despite being revolutionary, was too expensive for most consumers. The company was bleeding money and market share. The board of directors was fed up with Jobs' volatile leadership. In a boardroom coup that shocked Silicon Valley, they sided with Scully over Jobs. Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple, was stripped of all operational power. On September 17, 1985, Jobs submitted his resignation letter. The man who had built Apple from nothing was walking away from his own creation. He was 30 years old, humiliated, and his reputation was in ruins. But instead of giving up, Jobs did something that would define the next chapter of his life. He decided to start over completely. Jobs founded Next Computer, a company focused on high-end workstations for universities and businesses. Meanwhile, he bought a small computer graphics division from Lucasfilm for $10 million. He called it Pixar. For the next 11 years, Jobs was exiled from Apple. The company he had built was slowly dying. Apple's market share dropped from 16% to 4%. Microsoft and Windows were dominating the personal computer industry. By 1996, Apple was 90 days away from bankruptcy. They had tried everything, licensing their software, making cheaper computers, even creating a digital camera and game console. Nothing worked. In desperation, Apple's board made a shocking decision. They bought Next Computer for $429 million, bringing Steve Jobs back as an advisor. Within months, Jobs had orchestrated another boardroom coup. He became interim CEO of the company he had co-founded 21 years earlier. What happened next was the greatest turnaround in business history. Jobs' first move was brutal but necessary. He killed 70% of Apple's products. No more printers, digital cameras, or redundant computer models. Apple would focus on a few products and make them insanely great. In 1998, Apple launched the iMac. It was unlike any computer ever made, translucent, colorful, and shaped like a gumdrop. The tagline was simple: "Think different." The iMac saved Apple from bankruptcy and proved that the company could innovate again. But Jobs was just getting started. In 2001, Apple launched something that nobody saw coming: the iPod. A small white device that could hold 1,000 songs in your pocket. Music industry executives laughed. Who would pay $399 for a music player when you could buy a Walkman for $50? They didn't understand that Jobs wasn't selling a music player, he was selling a lifestyle. The iPod didn't just play music. It transformed how people experienced music. Combined with iTunes, it created the first legal, convenient way to buy digital music. Apple sold over 400 million iPods and revolutionized the music industry, but Jobs' greatest achievement was still to come. In 2007, at the Macworld conference, Jobs walked onto the stage and said, "Today, we're introducing 3 revolutionary products. A widescreen iPod with touch controls. A revolutionary mobile phone. A breakthrough internet communications device. These are not 3 separate devices. This is one device. And we are calling it iPhone." The iPhone wasn't just a phone, it was a computer in your pocket. It had no keyboard, no stylus, just a revolutionary touchscreen interface. You could browse the internet, send emails, take photos, and yes, make phone calls. Competitors dismissed it. Steve Ballmer, CEO of Microsoft, laughed, "There's no chance that the iPhone is going to get any significant market share." He was spectacularly wrong. The iPhone transformed Apple from a computer company into the most valuable company in the world. It created entirely new industries: app development, mobile advertising, ride-sharing, social media as we know it. By 2011, the iPhone was generating more revenue than all of Microsoft's products combined. Apple became the most valuable company in the world, worth over $350 billion. But Steve Jobs would never see Apple reach its ultimate peak. On October 5, 2011, he died from pancreatic cancer at age 56. Under Tim Cook's leadership, Apple continued to grow. The iPad created the tablet market. Apple Watch became the world's best-selling smartwatch. Services like the App Store became billion-dollar businesses. Today, Apple sells over 200 million iPhones per year. The company generates more revenue than the GDP of most countries. They have over $200 billion in cash, more than the Federal Reserves of most nations. What started in a garage became the first company in history to be worth over $3 trillion. So, what can you learn from Steve Jobs' incredible journey? There are 3 key lessons that apply to any endeavor. Lesson 1. Failure is not final, it's data. Jobs' exile from Apple wasn't the end of his story. It was essential preparation for his return. His experiences at Next and Pixar gave him the skills and perspective needed to save Apple. Lesson 2. Focus is the ultimate competitive advantage. When Jobs returned to Apple, he didn't try to do everything. He eliminated products, simplified the lineup, and focused on making a few things exceptionally well. Saying no was more important than saying yes. Lesson 3. Think different, not just better. Jobs didn't try to make better computers, music players, or phones. He reimagined what these products could be. The iPhone wasn't a better BlackBerry, it was a completely different category of device. Today, Apple operates in over 40 countries. Their products are used by over 1.8 billion people. They've proven that great design and user experience can command premium prices in any industry. The man who was fired from his own company returned to create products that define modern life. Steve Jobs proved that vision, when combined with relentless execution, can literally change the world. The next time someone tells you that your ideas are too different, remember, they said the same thing about the iPhone.